Hey guys, it's West here back with another episode of From the Crumbs. It's been a bit. A lot of stuff has happened. I say that every episode. Okay, that's the point. That's why you're recording this. What are you talking about, dude? I've since the last episode, I've made 4 6 stars, which is why I say there's been a lot that's happened. My 6 stars being the Wind Monkey, the Wind Ninetail Fox, and Bulwark, the Wind Lightning Emperor. Also, I pull the Wind Panda. Oh my god, it's about time I got something decent, right? So, I'm going to play a clip here. This was the Christmas limited pack summoning I did because it was Christmas and it's a Transcendence pack and it's a guaranteed net 5. And they released the new thing where you can choose whether you want one net 5 or the other, so you get two options. Um, and I know the choice was very obvious, but it was very close for me because I liked both of the options. So I'm gonna go and play that now. So the reason that was close for me was because I've always wanted like a unicorn because it's really fun. You get to switch back and forth. The mechanics are really cool and interesting. Um, but obviously, you choose the Wind Panda because Wind Panda just beats everything. If you don't have a Wind Panda, you choose the Wind Panda because he just like 1v3s in Guild Siege. He can 1v3 in Guild Wars. He could just clutch destroy entire compositions in World Arena if he's ruined well enough against opponents who aren't ready for him or don't quite have the counters, or you ban out their counters for him. So Wind Panda is an insane unit, which is why I chose him. Currently going to be the unit that I'm giving all my Devilmons to, if you guys are curious. Bulwark is almost done though. He's one skill up away, so I might just give the one skill up to Bulwark and then work on giving the Wind Panda the rest of the skill ups. But I pulled him. It's crazy. My four most recent 6 stars are, or five most recent, I guess, because I think Hathor was prior to this. My four 6 stars that I did this month so far were all wind. It was not on purpose. They were all for different reasons. So Wind Monkey I've wanted to play around with for a long time because he's just fun to screw around with. And this build is very, very shoddy. I'm not a big fan of the stats. The speed is really slow, and the crit rate's too low for me, and the defense is low, and the attack's not good enough. It's kind of a mess. But I wanted to use Wind Monkey, so I was playing around with him in some low level RTA, screwing around. I got him on a violent energy set. He's attack, crit damage, HP. You know, with obviously speed, crit rate, crit damage, HP, defense, attack, subs. He's got a lot of rune requirements. But he's really fun. When he procs, it's kind of stupid. When he doesn't proc, it's still pretty stupid because his second skill, he revenges into his stun. Like, I mean, it's a lot of fun. He needs skill ups, of course, to be better. But he's one of those units I could play around with without skill ups because he's got that passive, which annoys the crap out of people. And he's got a defense break, which is pretty nice. Obviously not 100% chance because I don't have it max skilled, but it's still really fun. Next up, we have a Rang, another one of the 6 stars that I recently made. She was skilled up completely with other Nine-Tailed Foxes. Her runes got stolen. Her slot 2 got stolen for somebody. But you could generally see her stats. I believe I had her on attack, crit damage attack, Swiftblade. Her rune got moved around for some reason. I think it was for the sake of ruining up Elsharion, but this was her slot too. So speed, crit rate, accuracy. Obviously, it completes the Swift set. So she had a little bit more speed, but I was playing with her. I like her for the Rift Beasts. I still really do like her for the Rift Beasts a lot. I wish I had better runes for her. In fact, I'd rather her be on like a Fatal Blade set so I can just maximize on her pretty good, her really good, I should say, attack power. So she'll probably end up eventually on a Fatal set, but I was playing around with her there. Obviously, I don't have runes for Odin yet because I do really want to put him on Violent. And I want him more on like a Bruiser Violent build. His damage, what I've seen with other people who use their Odin, is pretty good. He seems like he's going to be decent in Guild Wars if I put him with like my Hraesvelg or some other unit that gives me multiple buffs. And obviously when you kill an enemy, you also get buffs, so that's pretty cool. So he's been pretty fun. Obviously Wind Panda is going to be insane, but I mean, I'm going to hold the highest standard for Wind Panda's runes. I'm not going to, gimp Wind Panda at all. So he's going to get, first selection on all violent runes. If there's a violent rune, it's got the Wind Panda's name on it already because he's going to carry all of my PvP essentially. So that's what's going on there. I've got Jamie here, who I just recently 5-starred. He's going to be another 6-star because he's super fun. The reason I was building him up originally is because we'll talk about his third skill. He's got a cleanse and attack buff for 3 turns. So he should have 100% uptime of it. Every time the attack buff runs out, he should put another one up. So the team will have consistent attack buff. That is if he's faster than the rest of the team. So that's pretty crazy. 3-turn attack buff with a 3-turn cooldown. That's nuts. I mean, to put that in perspective, I believe Megan has a 2-turn attack buff with a 3-turn cooldown. Attack and defense buff with a 2-turn or a 3-turn cooldown. Let's look at her. Yeah, so Megan has a 2-turn attack and defense buff with a 4-turn cooldown. So there's some awkward downtime, an entire turn she takes where she doesn't have it. One of the reasons why a lot of people like Shannon is because Shannon's uptime is good. She has a 3-turn with a 3-turn attack and defense buff with a 4-turn cooldown, so she doesn't have that gap. And this guy's got a 3-turn attack buff with a 3-turn cooldown, which means he'll have attack buff on him when he uses the third skill again. I might be screwing that up. You can correct me in the comment section if I screwed up there. But it should be 100% uptime is what I'm trying to say. In addition to that, it also removes the harmful effects off all allies. So it removes all harmful effects off of all allies and gives attack buff. So you can see where he might have some viability in somewhere like Dragons, The reason I was working on him was because I was working on my Dragons team. And in my most recent, or I guess the most recent video I uploaded, the most recent from the Crumbs video, I did have a Dragons B10 going, and it used Colleen as the attack buffer. I recently took out Colleen and started using Hraesvelg as the attack buffer when I realized, oh yeah, most of the enemies that you kill are actually element neutral. Even though Dragons B10 is a fire stage, you can see by the pretty neutral looking, almost beige color that surrounds the level of the crystals, that they are an element neutral unit, which means that you have just the same amount of chance to crit them with any unit, regardless of the element of the unit you're using against the crystals, which means he's viable because he's not going to glance on the crystals because of element disadvantage. In addition to that, attack buff and speed buff gives my team reliability, gives them crazy turn advantage. Also, for those of you who don't keep up with patch notes, Vertihil got a buff. His second skill is also a double hit, so his first and second skill are both double hits. His second skill just does more damage. Really good. Vertihil's a lot more consistent now. The team basically got better. In addition to that, Hraesvelg has the brand, which is it's usually not relevant, because even if it doesn't land, the team has enough damage. And because of the uptime of the third skill, I never have to worry about there not being an attack buff up. Even if he used it right before the previous wave before the boss, as the very last move he used, and hasn't had a turn to regain some of that turns for the cooldown, the attack speed he gets for it being on cooldown is fast enough where he's gonna cycle through turns and get to his third skill again anyways. So I mean, it's really consistent. It's a really nice attack buffer. I really like him here. Also, if he does get the brand off, it just makes the run faster. This guy's nuts. Hraesvelg doesn't care what attribute the enemy is, apparently. So I'm so glad I could fit him in this team as well. Now, there's not too much we can do to speed it up from here, really. Rune improvements are great. Taking out Vertihil is a huge thing. When you're really looking to speed up the team, speed up any speed run, my general recommendation is that you try to reduce the time that an animation is going on for. The most amount of damage per hit possible. The twins accomplish that because they attack together and they do massive damage because they have huge multipliers. They have built-in defense breaks in the boomerang and the fire chakram. So they have potential to, do crazy damage. It took a little bit long to get the attack buff this time, but we still got the wave. But you want to reduce the amount of time that your units are attacking. That's how you maximize speed. And I'm talking about when you're trying to get sub 1 minute, sub 40 second, whatever, you're trying to get ridiculously fast times. You want to completely cut down any gap, any unnecessary move. And you could consider the Vertihil's moves to be unnecessary because yes, he does increase attack bar, but That's not what you want in a very fast speed team. Like a team that's really like as fast as can be, you're just going for raw damage. Vertihill, you can see, is kind of an unnecessary turn. So he might be increasing the run by 5 seconds or whatever by him being in the team versus a damage dealer who would speed it up a little bit faster. So in addition to that, a unit with an attack lead skill or whatever would also, be very viable in that slot. So I get an attack lead skill damage dealer in that slot, and then suddenly I start doing more damage. That was part of the reason why I was thinking about using Jamie instead of Hraesvelg. And that was because Jamie would have pretty much the exact same uptime on that attack buff. But in addition, you get the cleanse. The cleanse shouldn't matter anyways. I mean, yes, there's dots on your team, but this team never gets attacked by the dragon. Even when immunity comes up, there's usually enough damage in the team. And you can see most of the time, because of the Fire Chakrams AoE and the fact that I have a speed lead and Vertihill in the team, the immunity doesn't come up anyways. But removing Vertihill for an attack damage dealer would be the main way to increase or decrease the time, theoretically. In addition to that, the reason I would have put Jamie in the team, Jamie has that ignore defense on 1, has the multi-hit that can go off on 2, so, I mean, he could potentially do a crazy ton of damage, but that's a lot of RNG involved and a lot of stuff. He's getting built for Guild Wars anyways, because he's super fun. Jamie's like one of those RNG units, which is just like, why not use him? And he's an extra attack buffer, which is something I lack for Guild Siege. Something I've also been recently doing a lot of. In the past month, or since the last video, I've probably gotten around 500 or 600 crystals, which for high level players I guess is not that much, but like 500 or 600 crystals just from doing Guild Siege. So a pretty solid amount of crystals from basically farming sieges, defenses with 4-star units that are like unruined or whatever. So I try to 1 or 2 man it if I can, to maximize the amount of units that I attack with and maximize the amount of towers that I can take down with the fewest amount of units. So he's getting built for that anyways. But I've been trying to find ways to speed up Dragon's B10 because, of course, Dragon's B10 is where I want to be at right now because I want to farm for those runes. I don't think there's any other like units that I can talk about that really showcase the runes that I have, but I constantly have a full rune box. So that has actually started to become an issue because I don't have a lot of these runes on units, which is like a huge problem, I guess. So when it comes to my violent runes, I mean, I've got 60 violent runes sitting here. The problem is a lot of them are like, okay, like this, crit rate, crit damage, and HP. It's like, okay, this is a rune, but there's a flat HP on it, and there's no speed. And I guess I don't have speed grinds right now to put on it, so it's meh. There's this rune, I think it's a legendary rune, but it rolled flat HP, so I'm like, okay, so I need to like enchant out that flat HP for crit damage or speed or something. So what's going on with this? We've got this rune and it's like, oh, didn't mean to do that. We've got this rune and it's like, okay, this could be a Mi-Yang rune, but looking for grinds on it, I guess, because I need to grind attack, HP, and speed. So I've thought about doing raid a little bit, but at the same time I'm like, every time I want to do raid, I look at my runes and I say my runes aren't good enough for raid, but I also look at my runes and say these runes need grinds and enchants, which is a joke. It's the funniest joke. So I don't know. My runes are in a really awkward place where they're not good enough for me to be happy. There's this rune I got recently where I'm like, okay, it's a purple rune. I mean, it like low rolled 5 and a 4 roll into crit rate, so I was like, meh. But it's attack, crit rate, crit damage, and speed. It could use some grinds, but it's like a usable damage dealer rune, I guess. So slowly but surely getting runes. This rune's okay, but like you guys can see, I've got a crap ton of runes, and most of them are very meh. I also hold really high standards for runes for the most part, but some of these runes are like disgusting. But I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to go through my runes again and try to sort more of them out because every day of farming is basically saying, oh, your rune storage is full. You need to stop. My mana situation still around 40 million. Every day I go through and I like power up what I can. Usually if a rune doesn't get to where I want it to be within like +6 or +9, I sell it. A lot of times they get sold at +3 because they roll into a flat stat, and then it's like, okay, you made it easy on me, I sell it. My crystals don't look like they've fluctuated much, but that's because I got a bunch from this Christmas pack, and that's it. So there's not too much else to talk about. There's no other crazy units, right? All I got was Wind Panda. I'm not complaining at all. I'm so happy to have Wind Panda. Uh, Plans for the future, the account keep farming. Dragon Speed 10 is going to be huge. And of course, looking for more Violent Runes for my units. I pulled some extra Boom Chocks. That's pretty nice. They'll probably get built for something eventually. I pulled an extra Shayna, which is kind of cool. Because she's one of those monsters that I could use to two-man guild siege, you know. Also, I could build a support one theoretically if I wanted to for RTA, just stuff I'm thinking about. Oh, LD Nat 4 I pulled. Not super exciting, kind of disappointing when you look back at it, but oh god, is he in storage? I pulled the Light Pirate Captain, and yeah, that was cool. I don't think he was farmable. He very well might have been. It might have been before my time. You know, he's got something going on. I don't know. I was kind of sad when I saw LD Lightning. I was excited, but I'm like, this guy isn't frigate. That's like literally the first thing that came to my mind, and I'm like, lightning. Oh, it's not frigate. So sadly, it's not frigate. But you know, we might build him for something. We'll try to. I don't know. We'll try to find some way to use him for somewhere eventually. Just because he's an LD Net 4, and I like to build LD toys, I guess. But that's pretty much it. Runes on everybody else haven't changed. You know, Jean, Amir, all these people are like used for Guild Siege and TOA, as well as Tartarus Labyrinth. Tartarus Labyrinth's a huge one for Jean. Jean, I like. Oh, she's such a goddess. If you haven't fused one, fuse her, please fuse her. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for being patient. I'm sorry it's been so long since a video. I will see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, it's West again. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more.